Welcome to Virtual Venture Cafe. We've been doing this since March 5th. It's been a great addition to the community. We're able to source speakers from everywhere that they are and kind of teach everyone from wherever they may be. So my name is Shaheen Hakimi. I'm the Senior Program Manager here. Just a couple ground rules from the top. Please keep yourselves on mute unless otherwise prompted by the instructor. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those into the chat box at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to introduce the session presenter here today, Richard Kasperowski. Richard is an author, teacher, and speaker and coach focused on high-performance teams. He's the author of 2 books, and he leads clients in building and maintaining high-performance teams that get great results. He teaches core protocols, agile, and open space technology. Richard, we're stoked to have you here with us today. If I haven't missed anything, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and what we're going to cover here today.
That was perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I'll share my screen now too. Oh, it's nice to see a couple of faces. Hello, everybody. So this session's about high performance teams. It's about some stuff called core protocols. It's about psychological safety and emotional intelligence. These happen to be some of the ingredients for high performance teams. You heard about me. If you're interested, this course at Harvard starts on Monday. You can take well, it turns out it's a 100% online course this summer semester. So you can join me in this course on agile software development if you want. This is about teams. And I've been doing, it turns out, oops, break time. Sorry, got to take a 5-minute break. Just kidding. We'll switch back to the presentation. There we go. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Does anybody else use a Pomodoro and take a break every half hour like I do? Sometimes I forget to turn off the timer and weird things happen like that. But here we are. So this is sort of a kind of informal research. Every time I do a session like this, when I used to travel to do sessions like this, I would ask people in different parts of the world. We do these sessions online now. I ask people, we teach a class, I ask people this question. I like to know, what's the best team you were ever on in your entire life? Because this session here is about teams, and it's kind of like it's about getting into that state of best team of your life on purpose. So just do this mental exercise. This is a solo quiet thinking activity. What was the best team you were ever on in your entire life? And I'll define the word team here. Team is any group of 2 or more people aligned with a common goal. What's the best one of those that you've ever been on? Could be a work team, like the work team you're on right now, or a previous work team. Maybe that was your best team ever. It could be a non-work team. I think I saw a friend who does some automobile racing. Maybe there's a sports team that you're part of, and it's the best team of your life, the current one or a previous one. Maybe it's a school project team. Maybe it's an organization like Venture Cafe. Maybe there's a group of people running Venture Cafe or some organization like that. I'm on the board of Agile New England. Maybe it's a religious organization. I also do things with the Coder Dojo people. You know, some of these are really good teams. I watch my wife, Molly, knitting with friends. And at those moments in time, those are really great teams. They're trading ideas with each other. They're helping each other. They're innovating, they're creating, they're doing things together that none of them would be able to do solo. And even just me and my wife, Molly, where I think, for me, this is my best team ever. What is your best team of your life? So just think about that, make sure you have one in mind, and take yourself back to it right now. Everybody's camera is off except mine, so you can do this right now as a continuing on this solo activity. Close your eyes. I mean, you don't have to, but this could be sort of like a solo meditation. I'll guide you through it. You might close your eyes and think about that best team of your life, that group of people, that activity that you were doing together. What did it feel like to be with that group of people doing that activity? You know, who were they? relive that experience, relive the sensation of doing that activity with those people. And really feel that sensation of that best team of your life within your body, like in your gut. What does that sensation feel like, that best team ever? And if you could summarize the way that feels in one word, what's the one word you would use for the best team of your life? I want to collect these one words. What is the one word you use to describe the best team of your life? So to share that one word with me, aim your web browser at menti.com and type in that code 300483 and type in your one word that describes the best team of your life. I'm going to pause and let you do that.
Sorry, what's the code again?
I will type this into the chat window if I can. Actually, I don't have access to the chat window. Somebody who does, will you type this code in for everybody? It's menti.com, and then it's 300483.
Typing then 300483.
Thanks. menti.com. We've got like 19 people here in our conversation. I'll wait until we see a few more. So this is cool. This is what it feels like to be on the best team of our lives, right? There's joy, there's learning, there's safety. It is wholehearted. 2 people typed that. That's why it's a little bigger than the rest. Oh, synchronicity. 2 people typed that. There's learning, you feel understood, there's purpose. You're synchronized, there's some mentorship happening, there's joy. People often say it feels fun, right? This is what it feels like to be on the best team of our lives. This is kind of a subjective sense of best team of our lives. When I look back at the best teams of my life, I feel like I got lucky. And it's really cool. I did get lucky. I had some really great teams that I've been part of. And I'm a member of a couple of really great teams right now. And I feel really fortunate. Back 5 or 10 years ago, I feel like I really got lucky because we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how to get into that state of being a really awesome team. It just happened. We got lucky. And I've done a lot of work with teams, both as a team member and as a coach and consultant to teams. When I was a team member, I really didn't know or even a manager, I really didn't know what went into being to having a great team. How could you build that on purpose? That sense like this synchronicity, this learning, this target, this trust, all of these things. I really got lucky. And since then, for the last 5 or 10 years, this has kind of been my focus. Learning as much as I can about teams, learning how to get into this state of best team of our lives on purpose, and sharing it with nice people like you. So that's what this is about here today. It's about doing this again on purpose, getting into that state of best team of your life on purpose. And I assume you're here because you might want some of this. So what I'm going to share is a little bit of the science and research, some practical guidance on how to do this, and we're going to practice some of it. So we'll start with science and research. The science and research became easy to talk about 4 years ago. So there has been science and research on high performance teams. It's been going on for around 50 years, more than 50 years. People in business schools, in an industry, and in psychology departments, anthropology departments, they've been trying to figure out what it is about teams that makes them good or not so good. And people in those 50 years of research, they've identified like 250 different characteristics of what it might be that if you had it, your team would perform better than others. At Google 4 years ago, or starting 7 years ago actually, and they wrote about this in the New York Times 4 years ago, they went on they call it a quest here. They reproduced the research. They got 200 teams to participate in reproducing the research. They measured the teams on all of these 250 different possible characteristics. They measured the teams on performance. And they figured out that for teams at Google, when they reproduced the research, the one thing that mattered more than anything else was psychological safety. So if teams measured high on safety, they measured high on performance. This is for both technology teams, software developers, other kinds of tech teams, and for non-technical teams. Whatever the team was, if it measured high on safety, it probably measured high on performance. This is what they figured out. One thing they were missing here in this research, because it was research, they found correlation. What they didn't do is teach people how to do it. They were like, cool, we figured out what it is for teams at Google. It is safety. So we need more of this. And they would guide teams, do more safety, which is a little disappointing. It doesn't really tell you what to do to get into that state of high performance. Oh, and by the way, a high performance team, this is what I mean. It's a team, a group of 2 or more people aligned with a common goal that objectively performs better than other teams doing similar work. Objectively performs better than other teams. So you can measure it. Okay, yeah, so I said I live here in Newton. As far as I know, Newton has the highest population density of dentists in the world. So there's all these dentists nearby where I live here. And I was going to see a new dentist. I shared with her what I did for work. She got really excited about this. She ran back to her desk. She pulled her dental office magazine back and showed me that issue of the dental office magazine was all about psychological safety at dental offices. This is something that, according to the research, it cuts across all industries. It cuts across all cultures. When people in teams feel safe, they do better work. And what does that mean, to feel safe, this psychological safety idea? It means that when you are with your team, when you show up at work, you feel safe to take risks. You feel safe to show up as who you really are authentically. You feel like you can try out new things. You feel like you can admit you don't know something. You can ask questions. You can try a new role. It's totally safe to do so. You don't get penalized for making a mistake. If you say you don't know something and ask for help, it doesn't hold you back in your career in any way. Everything is okay. That's what safety is. And teams that measure high on safety measure high on performance. I shared this story with Stephen Wolf. Steve lives nearby in the Boston area. In the 1990s, when the research on psychological safety was happening, he and his research partner, Vanessa Druskett, were doing research on teams and team performance. So I told Steve this Google story. He hadn't heard the Google story, but he knew all about psychological safety. It was a component of the research that he and Vanessa did on what they called team emotional intelligence. And when I shared this with Steve, he taught me some more things. So I learned from Steve that when teams measure high on this thing called team emotional intelligence, they measure high on safety. And that psychological safety is a subset of this broader thing called team emotional intelligence. It includes lots of different things, including just fundamental EI ideas. Like, we understand how we feel as a team. We can guide our behavior appropriately as a team. We can understand how groups and individuals outside of our team operate. And we understand how the rules of the organization work outside our team. We can influence other people around our team to help us and help the whole organization accomplish our goals together. So when teams can do that, well, they measure high on performance. And Steve and Vanessa still do some of this, not quite research, but they do workshops on this today. And kind of like Google and the Psych safety idea, they'll measure you on emotional intelligence, team emotional intelligence, which includes Psych safety. They'll measure you on performance all across the organization. They'll tell you about Psych safety and emotional intelligence, and they'll kind of leave it at that. They'll wish you good luck, go back to your desks, try to do more Psych safety, try to do more emotional intelligence together. And that's fine, but it doesn't really tell us exactly what to do. So the third part here is there's this related research, observational research and experimental research. It was done by Jim McCarthy and Michelle McCarthy, also in the 1990s. They had a really great team at Microsoft in the 1990s. It was objectively better than other teams doing similar work. They built a really awesome product A competing company went out of business. This is how objectively better their product was than other products. So they had a really great team. They felt like they got lucky. They weren't really sure what went into creating that great team that they had. They left Microsoft and explored this question. What goes into having a great team? How could we reproduce this? They started up a little research lab on teams and team performance. In their lab, they gave teams, groups of people, an assignment in 5 days to get it done. And they just watched. They observed, they took notes. They watched teams at work, solving problems together, moving toward completing this assignment together. And they noticed that for teams that were successful at completing the assignment, those teams had some similar behaviors. They noticed patterns of behavior in successful teams. They had an idea. Their idea was, what if we could teach to other teams the success patterns of successful teams? So they wrote down these patterns. They called them protocols when they wrote them down. In this sense of the word protocol, it's a set of instructions that you can reproduce personally and with other people to make sure that you accomplish your goals together. So they did that. I'm gonna just pause for a moment and mute everybody except me. There we go. So then they conducted some experiments. They did the same thing. They invited teams into their lab. They gave the teams an assignment in 5 days to get it done. And this time, on the first day, they taught the teams these behaviors that they observed in the successful teams. And every time they did that, those teams were also successful, teams to whom they taught these behaviors of successful teams. They honed this list down to 10 or 11 different behavior patterns. Again, they called them protocols. And they shared them with the world in their books. And one of their books was called Software for Your Head. I've shared more concise versions of these in my books as well. So what they did was basically they figured out the behavior patterns that you can actually do together that help you build emotional intelligence as a group, that help you build psychological safety and help you get high performance. So this is what it looks like, a different way of telling the story. If you want high performing teams, and you probably do, then you definitely want those teams to feel safe. Psychological safety yields high performing teams. And psych safety is a subset of this broader thing called team emotional intelligence. And these are concepts, these are outcomes, these aren't how-to guides. These are emergent states that happen with groups of people. If you want to get your teams into this emergent state of high team EI, high psych safety, then there are behaviors you can try. Core protocols are one set of behaviors that you could practice together to get yourselves into these states of being and to get that high performance that you probably want. So there's the science and research, and now practical skills. I like to share these protocols as a set of building blocks. The first building block is positive bias. If you look at high-performing teams, they start with, they're all based on this idea of positivity, right? They try to do things together. They don't try to undo things. They create. They don't try to destroy when they're together. They are not negative on purpose. They think about what they're saying, the words they use, the tone of voice, the body language they use. They don't automatically negate each other. They don't just say no when somebody has an idea that they want to share with the team, because they know that when they say no and oh, it biases people toward not sharing good ideas. And well, when people don't share good ideas, you have a lower performing team. They pretend, they try things out. And I encourage all of you to try things out for the next 25 minutes that we're here together. We're going to try out a few of these behaviors. Here's the first one. Well, here's an experiment we'll try right now. We'll see how this goes. Here's an activity. I'm going to put you into breakout groups. In your breakout group, you will have 1 or 2 partners. With your 1 or 2 partners, try to make a concrete plan for lunch tomorrow. And I'm not suggesting that you actually meet face to face. That would be foolish. Maybe you could meet side by side in a park. Maybe you could meet over Zoom and have lunch together like this. Whatever you want to do. In your breakout room, you're going to try to make a concrete plan for lunch with your partners. Here's a catch. Whenever your partner offers you an idea, you respond starting with these words, yes, but. Right? So here's an example. It'd be like, one person in the group would say, hey, let's get lunch tomorrow. And then the other person would say, yes, good idea, but I have a work meeting at lunchtime, right? And then you'll try to respond saying yes, but, and it'll be like, yes, but you'd probably have more fun if you skipped that work meeting and joined me for lunch. And be like, yes, but, blah, 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 yes, but, yes, but. Here's the activity. Try to make a concrete plan for lunch tomorrow, always saying yes, but to each other. Are there any questions about this activity? I'm going to put you in breakout groups of 2 to 3 people per group, say 3 people per group. Your goal is to make a concrete plan for lunch with each other tomorrow. You'll have 60 seconds to do it, always saying yes, but to each other. Here we go. All right, welcome back, everybody. You have all returned successfully. Congratulations. We're going to do another iteration of this activity. In the second version, you're going to say yes and to each other. Same goal, make a concrete plan for lunch tomorrow. Same partners. This time it will be yes and. It'll be like, hey partner, let's get lunch together tomorrow. And it'll be like, yes, and even though I have a work meeting, I'll skip it and I'll have lunch with you. And it'll be like, yes, and because it would be potentially unhealthy to have lunch face-to-face, we could just have lunch together over Zoom. It might be nice. And be like, yes, and I don't know, maybe we could figure out how to eat the same thing together as if we were in the same room. Whatever it is, you're going to try to yes and each other. So 60 seconds, same idea, try to make a concrete plan for lunch tomorrow, yes anding each other. I'm going to start those breakout rooms again. Same room, same partners, same goal. The difference is yes and. Here we go. All right, I think we're back. I think you can all still see my screen. I can see some faces. Let's debrief on this a little bit. What was this experience like for you? First, the yes, but version of it. How did that go for you and your partner or partners? Feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat window. What was that like for you? How did that go?
Yeah, for me and for ESN, it's a lot more pleasure, a lot more comfortable.
With which version of it?
Yes, and like we
Yes,
just add on
and?
top of each other how much fun we're gonna have, and
Right.
you know, we're gonna do a lot of cool things. But yes,
Awesome.
but it was just endless shoot each other down. Like she's like, yes, but I need venture. I say, yes, but I need meat. I love meat. So we just like near get to a conclusion. Pretty much just, you know, there's no
Yes,
point to
but
talking other for talking.
yes, but was like you were cutting each other down. Yes, and felt better. There was more pleasure there.
A lot
Somebody
better.
wrote yes, but sounded weird. Somebody else wrote but acted like negation, even though you were saying yes and cooperating toward a goal together.
Exactly.
I'm going to mute everybody again. Not that I don't love you, just that I want to keep moving on. This is what most people say about this activity, that yes, but is actually like a special way of saying no. That just that changing that one word from but to and changes the way things go in that conversation. And people notice this on teams, right? This could make the difference between a lower performing team and a higher performing team, just changing this one word, this yes, but, which is a special way of saying no, changing but to and. It gives people more voice. And there is research on this idea of voice. When you give people voice in a team, When you allow people to share their ideas, you get more and better ideas. The creativity flows. You actually perform better together when there's more equal talk time in a group. For example, if you have a team of 5 people, if each one of them gets about 20% of the airtime when you have conversations as a team, that team performs better than teams where 1 or 2 people sort of dominate the conversations. So think about this when you're working together with a group or playing together with a group, whatever you're doing together. Voice, equal talk time, this bias toward positivity together. Your tone of voice, the words you use, your body language, all these things move you toward better outcomes together, whatever the outcomes are that you're hoping for. The second layer of this stack of building blocks is freedom. And we have some actual encoded behaviors here from the protocols. I've got short URLs here that you can type in your web browser if you want the details. I'll share these slides with these URLs. I've got a whole thing with all the URLs at the end that you can look at and get all the details. Pass, check out. These are basically ideas that say you can opt out of anything at any time when you're with your team. If there's something you want to opt out of for the moment, but stay with your teammates, you pass on it. You just say, I pass. If there's something more important you need to do, you disengage from the team. You say, I'm checking out. You leave the space, whatever that space is, whether it's an online space or a physical space. You let them know you're checking out. You let them know they can't quite count on you right now, but you're still part of the team. You're doing something more important for yourself and for the team. What the observation is that on high-performing teams, people have freedom. People choose to be together on that team. People choose to do that work that they're doing together, and they choose the way they're doing it. Think about any best team that you've been on in your life. You got together because you wanted to, and you did the work that you wanted to do together, and you did it the way you wanted. It was all opt-in. And these protocols here, pass and checkout, give you explicit ways to opt in and opt out. So you can look these up and get all the details. We can practice more later after today's session, whatever you want. The third building block here is self-awareness. If you watch high-performing teams, you will notice that the individuals on the team have high self-awareness. They know who they are as individuals. They know how they feel. They know, they have some idea of what they know and what they don't know. They know what's important to them, what they seek, what are their goals in life. Here are some named behaviors that people on high-performing teams use, right, from the core protocols. Check in, ask for help, personal alignment, with short URLs so you can get all the details. We're going to go deeper into some of these right now. So here's an activity, a solo, quiet thinking activity. Here's a sentence, fill in the blank. I feel blank. How do you feel right now? Fill in the blank with any word or words. Write down your answer. Get a piece of paper or something. Write down your answer. How do you feel right now? I feel blah, 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 whatever it is for you. And version 2 of this activity is multiple choice. For some people, this is easier. For some people, it's a little harder. Let's see how it goes. I feel blank, and you fill in the blank with one of these 4 words: glad, sad, mad, or afraid. Which one or more than one of these words most closely matches how you feel right now? Just think about it. Maybe write down your answer on that piece of paper you have. How do you feel right now? Glad, sad, mad, or afraid? What's closest? In part 3 here, add on some more information. What else is going into how you're feeling right now? That glad or sad or mad or afraid? Why? What about it? What's happening? I'm curious about the group. So back to your web browser and Menti. How do you feel right now? Which one of those is closest to how you feel right now? Glad, sad, mad, or afraid? It's we're a pretty small group, so it's possible that nobody feels mad. I usually don't believe it when there are 0 people who say they feel mad right now, but it's possible in a small group. What's interesting is that, okay, there's a lot of glad, there's a little bit of sad, there's a little bit afraid. In most groups, all 4 of these primary emotions exist within at least one person in the group, right? The full spectrum of emotion exists within the group. This is normal. And it's good to know how we're feeling individually so we can share it with each other, connect with each other a little more. We've got another activity in groups of 3, that same group of 3 that you were already in earlier. Here's the activity. Each person take a turn sharing how you feel. The script goes like this. Step 1 is you say, I feel glad or sad or mad or afraid, right? This will be easy because you already did this as a solo activity. So you already know the answer for yourself. I feel glad, sad, mad, or afraid. You could add more information. You could opt out. You could say I pass. You could repeat steps 1 and 2 as many times as you want. And when you're done, you tell your partners that you're done by saying I'm in. When you say I'm in, your partners let you know that they heard you. They say welcome. So here's an example. It goes like this. If it were my turn in the group, I would say something like, I feel glad. It's really awesome being here with all of you this afternoon. I'm glad all the technology is working out. Seems like it's going well. I'm sad. I haven't seen family members in like 3 months now. I miss my mom. She lives out in Springfield. I miss my son, even though he lives just 3 miles away in Brighton. I don't see him enough. I'm mad and afraid. I'm repeating steps 1 and 2 as many times as I want. I'm mad and afraid. I'm mad that this COVID-19 is happening. I'm afraid that I'll get sick. I'm mad and afraid that people like my son have lost their work and they struggle to make ends meet now and pay the rent and buy food. I'm in. And then when I say I'm in, you all say welcome. I'll make believe I heard you all say welcome.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, here's the activity. Take turns in your group. We'll make this fast. We'll give you 2 minutes with each other to do this emotion check-in together. Tell each other how you feel. Pick from that multiple choice list. Add more explanation if you want. Pass if you don't want to do it. Say I'm in. They say welcome. Here we go. So starting the breakout rooms, opening the breakout rooms. See you in 2 minutes. Boom, boom. Changing the settings. Off we go. All right, I think we're all back. Let's debrief on that activity a little bit, right? Doing the activity is fun. Debrief is where the learning happens. So let's reflect on it for just a moment. How did that go for you? What happened when you practiced this emotion check-in with 1 or more partners? You could unmute and tell me about it. You could type it in the chat window. Let's hear from at least 1 person. How'd it go for you?
I would say it went well with my team. And, hearing about, they're also going through changes in their lives and are curious about what next steps will look like for them. It kind of helped me relate.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Amali. And this kind of emotion check-in, this is a little different from the way most people behave with their work team or even with their friend team. For some teams, like I've done sessions like this with people in New York City, for example, people working at finance companies, and they're like, share emotion with people I work with at my finance company? We don't do that. Right. And no matter what, for most companies, for most teams, this is different, sharing how you feel. Because maybe you don't feel safe, maybe it's just not part of that culture at that place. This is different. And when you watch high-performing teams, this is something they actually do. They share with each other how they feel. And here's one way to do it, this little script. I feel this, you add some explanation, you say I'm in, they say welcome. Yeah, somebody wrote in chat, what about doing this in a daily meeting? Yeah, a really good application of this is like if you have a daily meeting, if you do a daily stand-up or a daily scrum or something like that, add this bit of information, add this question. How do you feel right now? You know, everybody takes a turn, maybe saying what they did yesterday, what they plan to do today, whether they need help with anything. Add on, how do you feel? Just practicing this with each other helps you connect better, helps you feel safer together, helps you feel more cohesive as a team. And by doing that, you perform better together. So we'll move on from here. Some more activities. Think about what you might really want in life. We're going to pass over some of these activities. You might pick a virtue word and focus on it. We add on to these connection behaviors. We add on to these self-awareness behaviors with connection, right? So we start with this bias toward positivity together. We have freedom. We opt in to what we're doing and the people we're doing it with. We're self-aware as individuals. We connect together in a cohesive whole. We call that cohesive whole a team, right? A group of people connected, aligned. We've got some behavior patterns that can help us get there. What people find through repeating these recipes, this is a short session. We're not going to do all of the ingredients of the recipe tonight. But when people go through these ingredients and reproduce this recipe, what they find is that it's kind of like a recipe for love. Again, an unusual word for people in many workplaces. But if that doesn't work for your work, you can try friendship, right? The idea is that if you could watch a high-performing team, whether you're in a physical space and they're behind a glass wall and you can just watch them at work, or whether it's a virtual space and you could sort of, I guess we can all do this now. We could be a fly on the wall with the camera off, watching other people work. That'd be cool. If we did that, we would notice that when they're working together, they look like they care about each other. They look like they're friends. Some people would say it's like they love each other, and that fraternal kind of love, not that romantic kind of love, but maybe. But really this friendship kind of thing. When you watch high-performing teams, they're groups of people who care about each other, who help each other, who are aligned with each other. That's friendship, at least. Love, at best. The recipe kind of looks like this. You start with positive bias. If you think about the best relationships of your life, whether it was work or something else, you got together with that group doing that thing that way because you wanted to do something good together that benefited everybody, not to hurt each other or destroy anything. You had positive bias. You had freedom. You did it because you wanted to. Best relationships, whether it was work or not work, you probably shared with each other how you feel. It's that emotion check-in. Personal alignment is this idea of knowing what's really important to you. And in your best relationships, you probably know what's really important to you and why you're there with that group. And you tell each other, you ask them what's important to you and you and you and you, and you share it with each other. This idea of investigate is you go deep. You ask more and more. You try to learn as much as you can about each other. This loop right here is a recipe, a reproducible recipe for friendship or love or high-performing team. And I know this is kind of woo-woo for some people. My wife and her family are from California. This is like normal for them. For people in Boston, New York, this is a little weird and woo-woo. So we could also you could do this as code. It's like a script you can follow. It's just a set of instructions you can follow with your team, and it's reproducible to get into that state of friendship and high performance together. We're coming up to the end of this. There's a fifth layer on the stack. It's productivity. So once you've got this awesome, cohesive group of people, it's not just to be an awesome, cohesive group of people, it's to be high performing. So you've got to get stuff done. We've got some behaviors for being able to make effective decisions and resolve conflict and give and receive feedback really, really effectively. And this final one, what do you do when things go off track? What do you do when we have team agreements and somebody breaks one of the agreements? How do you let people know? Well, it turns out when you watch high performing teams, it's totally safe to let each other know when you've broken an agreement, and totally safe for anybody to do that and remind each other what you're supposed to be doing together. So there's a way to do this in this set of behaviors. So now, having heard all of this, oh gosh, it's been 46 minutes. What would your key takeaway be? Multiple choice, here are some ideas for key takeaways. What's yours? And if your key takeaway is something else, please type it into the chat window. I want to know what your something else is.
I really appreciated the team safety and the psychological safety aspect of building teams and how it can impact productivity. That was a very important part for me to recognize, because I think that we've often focused on just individual and not team dynamics.
Right, yeah. Thanks for pointing that out, for sure. That's an interesting one, right? Most of our companies are set up so that we get rewarded individually. So actually, even if we don't do it intentionally, we end up fighting against each other so that we're the ones on top who get the big rewards. So people are saying team EI, team emotional intelligence, that's a way to raise psychological safety. The friendship is congruent with high performance. And whatever else you want to add on, your key takeaway, you're probably right, because it's your key takeaway. Some people say their key takeaways are like this, that we know there's science and research about teams and team performance, and we definitely want psych safety, we definitely want team EI. We definitely want a way to get there. And so core protocols is one way to do it, right? There are definitely other ways to do it. This is one way that I've been practicing with people, and it gets us there. High performance for you teams, you could reproduce the stuff we did, you could do more. You could read these books. The Blue Book is free. You can just download it from my website. You could ask me for help anytime. We run classes on this stuff. You could ask me for help on one of these classes. Finally, I want to ask you for help. This is the behavior pattern, the protocol for asking for feedback so that we can make things better, add on to ideas. Will you give me some feedback on what we just did here for the last 49 minutes? Just give the session a score from 1 to 10. Tell me what you liked about it, and tell me what else you would do to make it a perfect 10 out of 10. If you don't mind giving me that help, I would love that help.
Richard, I suppose this would be a great time to say in the survey that I dropped into the chat, that's exactly what we ask. So if you want to just take that there, and we'll take, yeah, and we'll relay
that. So answer that one, answer this one. Doesn't matter to me which one you answer.
It creates an NPS score and everything, and an average. So we'll send that over to you.
Awesome. So I'll move on from that slide. Just one wrap up picture and we're done. You have all my contact info here. Plus I'll share these slides with everybody at Venture Cafe. I invite you to ask me for help anytime, connect with me, whatever you want to do. I love connecting with people. I love helping. So that's it. I will stop screen sharing and back to you, Sean.
Thank you, Richard. This session will conclude at 6 p.m. This has been pretty cool. I'm wondering if anybody in the audience has any questions for Richard.
I have a question here. This is long.
Okay.
We're a small startup, and obviously have been quite stressful recently because we're doing things related to travel space. So everyone in the team always know there should be change. We just don't know what change are,
Mm.
which is more the business side, but more just personal emotion side is how do we, you know, without finding the answer, without knowing the direction as a leader, how do you talk to team about the check-in, about the emotional state, about what they're, again, their purpose. You know, of course, everyone wants their company to go well. Everyone wants to figure out, you know, what the change we should implement, what we should double down on the business. Meanwhile, we don't have it. So we don't even have time or intention, or don't even know how to start those kind of conversation without leading to collaborative depressed or you know, collectively hopeless. That is very bad when you're building startup, because no one pay you if you don't work hard for yourself.
Right. So what would I do? I would, as a leader, I would model some of these behaviors, right? As a leader, I would share how I feel and invite other people to do the same. Just model it. And I've done this. Like, okay, there's this whole behavior set, and I do teach it to people as a big fancy formal class. Last year, I was a member of a very short-lived team. It was a criminal trial jury, right? And I wanted us to be a really awesome team, even though we only had one day together to make that decision. I didn't like get up on the platform and start teaching a big fancy formal class on how to be a great team together. I just started doing some of the things. I shared how I felt. And it was like, I'm really happy that we can do this together because it's important to me to be an effective citizen and make sure that justice is served. I'm afraid that we might make the wrong decision and somebody who's actually a criminal could go free, or I'm afraid that the other thing would happen, that we'll make the other wrong decision and somebody who's not a criminal will go to prison, right? I just shared how I felt without telling anybody what I was doing or why I was doing it. And people imitated me. The second person did it. The third person did it. Fourth person didn't want to do it. They passed. Oh, that was another behavior pattern that I wanted us to be able to do. Fifth person shared. The sixth person passed. Totally cool, right? And we just tried these things. I modeled it and people imitated me. This is something that people do. They imitate what people around them do. So if you want people to try out these behaviors, one thing you can do is just do them. And the people around you will copy what you're doing. Especially as a leader, when a leader does it, it's totally cool for everybody else to do it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I think that me as a leader, I'll be afraid to telling, I'm not sure how quick we should change. What if like we right now need to improve this to make sales, you know, continue our sale, not just switch to a completely new you know, market with the product which can take, you know, 6 months to build. And then what about now, right? That can lead into all the confusion on the engineering side, right? It's very harmful because you don't want engineering to get distracted. They spend maybe next 6 hours to search about the new, you know, challenge or the next product development. And then what do we do with what? That is kind of the thing I'm afraid whenever I bring up too much uncertainty on a way that can impact even next week work strategy.
Yeah, thanks for sharing this, and thanks for sharing that you feel afraid about this. Welcome.
Okay.
And you know, okay, by the book, we don't talk about other people's check-ins, right? Because that might make it unsafe to share how you're feeling if you talk about it. You can ask for permission, or you can just not do it. But what really happens is that everybody in the group, everybody in your little company, they're probably feeling the same thing, but they're afraid to say so. And that actually might be holding back their performance together. They're kind of disconnected by not telling each other how they feel. It's happening to everybody. Everybody's feeling whatever it is they're feeling.
I'm going to give it a try right after this because I'm going to meet a team regarding the project we're doing. Yeah, quite a significant. Yeah, probably.
Right. You could do it like this. You could do it over video like this. You could do it asynchronously, like in Slack. Some people feel safe doing it with emoji. just figure out a way that works for your people and kind of make it a practice.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I can see that this has been a popular topic, and I can see a lot of light bulbs going on across the room right now. And if you want to continue the conversation, we have a networking room open in which you can interact. And you can go back to that, and I'm going to drop in the sign-in page right here in the chat for you to take down. Richard, I feel glad and I feel thankful that we invited you onto this here. I'm in right now, and for now we are out. So I appreciate you coming on and volunteering your time today.
My pleasure. Welcome, and thanks for having me. Good seeing everybody. Thank you.
Good to see you again, Richard. Take care.
Likewise, you too.